Welcome to Sutures and Cents, where Tegaderm meets Top Line and Surgiflow meets soft costs. In ambulatory surgery centers and hospitals, we talk clinical to business people and business to clinical people. I'm Mark Copeland, the Value Analysis Whisperer. Ryan Pistone is our director, editor, all kinds of other stuff, and we are Sutures and Cents. So here's your thought for the day. Selling med device today into health systems is a lot like selling mayonnaise to Five Guys. What did he just say? Yeah, you heard me. Selling mayonnaise to Five Guys is a lot like selling into healthcare now. And I'm going to explain, obviously. And for those of you who don't know Five Guys, well, I don't even know how to begin with you, but Five Guys is a hamburger, sort of upscaley, fast foody cafeteria with a great product. And it's really exploded over the past 10 years and 15 years. But there's some parallels that I'm going to draw, and I think you'll see them. And it has to do with selling into healthcare now versus selling into healthcare 15 years ago. And I think I'm hoping that you'll take away that, number one, you can sell into a value analysis environment, regardless of your status on the sales chain, or if you're a doctor or nurse, regardless of your training, that outside of clinical, or the size of your practice, or the alleged importance. It just takes a different way of thinking. And so I'm going to use something that is, I think it's still mostly East Coast, Five Guys, as an example. So let me back up here. Ready? So and I have a bunch of notes here. I wrote them down off of the Magic Wikipedia. So in, let's see, 1986, Jerry and Janie Murrell in Virginia started a cheeseburger stand. I think it was actually in DC. I remember listening to him be interviewed. 1986, one place in District of Columbia, right? DC. And he and his wife had 4 sons. And I won't bore you with all the details. It's an interesting story. But he decided to start and called it Five Guys. Jerry and his 4 sons, who, by the way, still are involved, all of them, heavily with the business. So he starts Five Guys in 1986, and it's a hamburger stand. Makes great hamburgers. A little more expensive, but great. And Jerry inspects like every ingredient, the pickles, the French fries. He found out where the potatoes come from at a famous French fry place at the beach in Maryland, and went and got them to source his potatoes from them. Tested mayonnaise. Like, you couldn't bring in a certain kind of mayonnaise if Jerry didn't approve it. And they grew slowly and steadily. And 15 years later, 2001, he had 5 stores in the Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC area. So 15 years, 5 stores. Then Jerry was talked into franchising, and his product just blew up. I mean, they're building Five Guys inside of Five Guys now, it seems like, on the East Coast. They went from 1 store in 1986 and 5 in 2001 to 1,700 stores across the country. Mostly, I think, on the East Coast, up and down the East Coast. But they also now have Five Guys Operations, Five Guys Holdings, Five Guys United Kingdom, Five Guys International, Five Guys Cooperative based in Amsterdam. So they're in 25 states, 1,700 stores, and 25 countries, right? Now, let's just say you and I were the Mayo sales guys back in 1999. You know what we did? We went to Jerry, and we hoped Jerry liked our Mayo. And if Jerry liked our Mayo, we sold to 5 stores. But it was good business, had a lot of customers. It's a good account for us. We're pretty happy. And all of a sudden, Jerry starts to franchise. And now he's 150 stores, 300, 900. Now ask yourself, take a break for a second and say, do you think that in 2000 and let's say 14, 2015, Five Guys was buying Mayo the same way? You think Jerry was testing all of it, putting his stamp of approval on all of it? No chance. They had become a sophisticated, Five Guys at this point had become a sophisticated purchasing entity in the eyes of us, the lowly Mayo salesperson. Now, this should sound familiar because I was thinking about using Home Depot. It's too big. I thought about using Wegmans, another great East Coast supermarket chain that's growing by leaps and bounds, has a very loyal customer base. But I thought Five Guys was pretty good because you can still hear interviews with the founder and you can hear how it went from mom and pop to sophistication. When you have 1,700 franchises, you've got operations and logistics to run that. That's an organization of some heft. Now, the reason I bring this to your attention is it's a lot what's happened. It's a lot like what's happened in healthcare and med device over the past 15 years. For those of you who've been in the business, I've been in it 20 years, med device, I've been in healthcare 27 years, all in sales. And when you look at healthcare now versus 2010, even since 2017, what we've seen is massive consolidation. So what used to be one little hamburger hospital, mom and pop, and maybe they had 2 or 3, but the decisions were all made same place by the same person, and you kind of knew them. And well, now those places are large and sophisticated and emerging. You've got health systems anywhere from HCA, that's I think 180 hospitals. You've got Kaiser Permanente. You've got UPMC here on the East Coast that I think is 40 some hospitals. And the decisions made in some of those hospitals where you are, many of those decisions are made in different facilities, different states in some cases. And you don't even know what that process is like. It's a lot like selling Mayo. And I can tell you this, you think if you and I want to get our Mayo into Five Guys, you think we stop in the local one here in my hometown and say, hey, where's the owner? I want to sell you some mayonnaise. Sorry, no chance. You know what that owner says? Hey, take it to the regional office. They'll make some regional decisions on mayonnaise there. We just get what they let us have, right? Now, you may not like it. You may not even like mayonnaise. Which again, if you don't know Five Guys and you don't like mayonnaise, you should probably turn this off right now, I think, just as an aside. But if you think about it, if you and I were going to go present mayonnaise to the regional office at Five Guys, we're going to present it a little bit differently. We're going to present quality, supply chain, costs across the system, any other value adds that we have to it. We're not talking to the person who's standing there going, man, this is the best tasting mayo I've ever had. That's not. Now, somebody's going to have to approve it clinically, which is what that would be. But I urge people to change their mindset and start thinking that you're calling on health systems, Five Guys in this analogy, not just a mom and pop, Our Lady of No Air Conditioning Medical Center, because those days are gone. They're gone. And if you adjust, and you can totally do it, it's not difficult. I try to teach a lot of this stuff for free because you can do it. But sometimes you might be the only one talking about it. You may still have a lot of people at your company, including people you report to, who think, go into that local store and it sounds stupid even saying it, go into that local Five Guys and get that owner or that second shift manager to be your champion. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're talking to one doctor in one hospital, in one health system, and trying to get him or her to get your product approved, you're being just about as silly. I'm Mark Copeland. I'm the Value Analysis Whisperer. I help companies get their products approved. See you next week on Sutures and Cents.